smallest malignant lump that can be detected by mammography means that breast cancer has most likely been developing for 6 years. So it's not much of a solution. Even the United States Preventative Services Task Force now recommends that women under 50 avoid mammograms altogether. We've had mastectomies have actually been going on for centuries, and the only cure is the knife is an expression that's used, and that's the way that we've been tackling tumors for centuries, through just surgically removing them. And my God, there wasn't even, like, they would just, you know, here's your vodka, we're gonna cut it out, like pre-19th century. So surgical techniques have improved, but breast cancer theories are really just a history of fumbling around in the dark, trying to figure out, debating if cancer is systemic, if lumpectomies, super radical mastectomies are the solution. You know, nobody really has the answer. And a really interesting link was made in 1994. I don't know why it's sort of not more well known, but in 1994, they made a link between the removal of the primary breast tumor and an increased growth rate of metastases. Metastases are the microscopic malignant tumors that spread uncontrolled in the body, and they're characteristic of late-stage cancers. So the primary breast tumor secretes a hormone called angiostatin. And this circulates freely throughout the body, throughout the circulatory system. And what does this hormone do? It suppresses the growth of metastases. So when this primary tumor is removed, drawing up the source of angiostatin, the microscopic tumors go into high gear, spreading uncontrolled throughout the body. And that's pretty classic. You know, you're diagnosed with breast cancer, everything's okay for a few years. 3-4 years later, it's like, oh, you got metastases. It's like in your bone, in your spine, it's everywhere. So some doctors don't really feel that the problem with breast cancer really lies in the breast, but perhaps it's about the soil in which the breast is existing in. It's the soil in which the breast cancer is growing. We endlessly debate risk factors. Where's my little thing? So we endlessly debate these risk factors, running around for the cure, blinded by pink ribbon campaigns sponsored by pesticides, parabens, and laced with plastic are now the belle of the charity ball. But the answer to cancer is not found in a pink bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken or pink plastic water bottles or pink lipstick. That is for sure. So we're still debating things and trying to figure things out, and nobody's really going to claim where all this disease comes from. It's the etiology of breast disease is unknown. And of course, every disease is multifaceted. But as I was pondering this talk, with visions of xenoestrogens and metalloestrogens and mycoestrogens dancing in my head, along with the research of what is found in mastectomized breast tissue, I saw a clear pattern in the recipe that makes breasts a liability. And for your viewing pleasure, I have put this pattern into a diagram. So we have excess estrogen. The other secondary pattern is heavy metals and halides. And we combine that with candida and mycotoxins. Diseased breast tissue is a repository. 99% had parabens. 100% had fungal spores of Staphylococcus and Ascomycete fungus. 100% had mercury. And in a 5-year study of 300 breast cancer patients, 93% of those women had root canals. And the same necrotizing bacteria that was found in the old root socket was also found in the breast tissue. So our breasts are organs that are designed to be incredibly biologically responsive to signals inside our body, to our babies, and to the outside world. Our breasts have a dense supply of receptors that sit on cell walls like flowers, ready to catch the passing bees of these estrogen molecules. However, our receptors also corral heavy metals and synthetic estrogens. So what happens is these receptors will, they're like locks and keys. And so these receptors will take any key with a carbon ring structure. And this structure is the same building block that is used to make many synthetic compounds, like cosmetics, plastics, and pesticides. And really, our breasts, the only estrogen mimics that they've been used to are plant estrogens. For eons, breasts could trust what they received. We co-evolved with plant estrogens. But modern mimics come to us in a deadly daily drip. So really simply put, excess estrogen is when estrogen outweighs levels of progesterone in the body. And this tips all the other hormones and throws everything off balance. Adding to our intake of excess estrogen, we have the hormones from agriculture in our food, in our meat and dairy. We have the pill. IUDs secrete a hormone, some of them. We have HRT, that's hormone replacement therapy. So all of these are adding to our estrogen overload. And then we compound that with xenoestrogens. Those are the foreign synthetic mimics that come from plastics and pesticides and PCBs and BPA and all that stuff. So that's coming into our bodies as well. Now, plastics, the BPA thing's a really interesting story because we all pretty much know now that the numerous studies show how it alters our cells and affects gene expression. And the BPA, and thousands of chemicals make plastic, so even the BPS used to make BPA-free plastic is estrogenic, which we all knew that was coming anyway. But BPA was actually made 80 years ago. It was invented 80 years ago as an estrogen, as a synthetic estrogen drug to prevent miscarriages. So it's been around, even though we just put it together for some reason 80 years later. But totally unsuccessful in preventing miscarriages. It soon found its way into everything because it's a byproduct of the petroleum industry. So they found many uses for it. And now it's in dental fillings and money. It's everywhere. And what BPA does is it slowly alters our cells and it turns off the suppressor genes and turns on the tumor promoters, the oncogenes. So we're really just soaking in the false estrogens of shampoos, deodorants, plastics, and they're altering our cells. And then what we add to this daily endocrine disruption, we now have diets very high in sugar, spiking blood sugar levels, increasing our insulin, and that also spikes our estrogen levels. And then additionally, we have congested livers, and that's impairing our liver's ability to break down and eliminate all of these excess estrogens. Then we have the secondary contributing pattern of heavy metals and halides. We are living so intimately with these chemicals that we literally have proprietary industrial secrets swimming in our bloodstream, going into our cells and into the very marrow of our bones. There is now 82,000 chemicals in existence, and approximately 700 new ones come to market each year. And they're all safe until proven guilty. And in this whole century, literally a handful of chemicals have ever been banned. So toxic metals Heavy metals are the toxic metals that they penetrate our organs and our tissues, and they start accumulating in our body. And then another dangerous thing that they do is that they start competing and displacing the much needed minerals that we need, especially magnesium. Mercury is a toxic metal, and Dr. O'Meara found mercury in every cancerous and precancerous tissue samples that he studied. It was everywhere. So the mercury that's in our eco light bulbs and the same mercury that's in our silver amalgam fillings, which are really just mercury fillings, those are metalloestrogens. So that's the metal estrogen mimics. And maybe some of you have heard about the gender bending effects of pesticides. That is the metalloestrogens in action. Atrazine is a pesticide. It's very widely used. Something like 76 million pounds of atrazine are spread in US soil every year. And researchers at Berkeley found that it chemically castrated 75% of adult male frogs. In humans, what atrazine does is it converts much needed testosterone and progesterone into estrogen. And there's thousands of pesticides and herbicides, and we could probably be looking at stories like that with every single one.